So I'll just start telling you about myself. I'm Jeff. I live in Prague, coming to you from about 9 o'clock at night here in Prague in the Czech Republic. As you know, in this sort of current situation we're in, with the world sort of having been turned a bit upside down, life is really kind of different here these days. We've been in lockdown here since March the 7th or 10th or somewhere around there, and they're going to keep it going on until like April 11th. So we've been here sort of locked up in in our houses for quite a while, or in our apartments. We can go out, get some food, go to the bank, supermarkets, and pharmacies, things like that. Have to wear a mask constantly. Probably what we're going to start seeing more of I'm assuming in the U.S. these days. And the rest of the cities are sort of stuck in this weird ghost town kind of arrangement. Nobody's around. It's very, very strange. But anyway, I wanted to tell you a little bit about what I do as editor of the Savvy Retiree, which is what I write for. Even though we're in this sort of strange moment in life where everybody's sort of stuck at home, the reality for me is that I've kind of been doing this since 2004. So I guess oddly enough, I've been stuck in quarantine for 15 years now, because I work at home, for the last 15 years for all of my jobs. And so I'm used to this, and sort of makes me in some ways sort of an expert, for lack of a better word, on sort of earning your income at home, which is what I write a lot about for the Savvy Retiree. The idea that there are all of these what I call e-earning opportunities, or e-income, that exist online, and that's a lot of chances for us to make money doing things that we enjoy in various ways that I don't think people are always up to speed on. I know a lot of the millennials are. I have a millennial son, and I know he's up on all these things, and he teaches me some of this stuff. But there's just a large number of opportunities for us. And this particular moment in time, with the coronavirus, I think is going to open up substantially more opportunities for us going forward, because this is going to be, I guess, the new normal is the way to look at it. There's already a large number of companies who are sort of beginning to think about this idea that working doesn't necessarily have to happen inside of a cubicle farm, for lack of a better term. That people can be just as productive away from home. And I was talking to some people today who made that exact comment about their lives, that like I'm so accustomed to being at the office, that now that I'm home, I get so much more done, because I can stay later. I don't have to leave to beat traffic. I don't have to rush to the office to beat the morning rush hour. I can work earlier. I can work later. I can sort of divide my day up. I think this is going to become the new normal, and in so doing, it's going to create a lot of opportunities for people to look at these e-income and e-earning opportunities that exist, that anybody at any stage of life can pursue, be it a young millennial all the way up to somebody who is approaching retirement, or is already in retirement and is looking for ways to maybe supplement their income, or maybe a way to move to a different place that they want to live and be able to afford the life there. That could be somewhere in the US, it could be somewhere overseas, whatever. These e-earning jobs, e-income jobs are numerous these days, and that's what I spend a great deal of time writing about. And I don't just write about it from a perspective of somebody who is a former Wall Street Journal reporter, sort of calling around, hashing out the facts and putting the story together. I'm writing about this stuff from somebody who is actually doing it. For instance, I've written recently in some of my columns about my own opportunities, my own interests, and my own pursuits in this e-income world. one of the things I've done in the past year or so is use sites like Upwork and Fiverr.com to create freelance accounts that I pursue jobs effectively all over the world as a writer. People come to me, and they know my background. They see it on the websites and things, and they approach me to do some writing. I do writing for those people. I find postings on there of people who need stuff written, and I will send them a proposal of what I can do for them, and what my rates are and whatnot, and we hook up that way. And it's been actually quite good. I've been doing this for about a year or so from my new home here in the Czech Republic, and I have made really strong contacts that even in this moment of crisis and panic, I have people who are calling me or sending me emails and asking me to do some writing for them, and that's nice. It's a nice additional stream of income that I get aside from my normal job as editor of Savvy Retiree. And what I particularly like about these kinds of opportunities is that you're not locked into a single destination, a single place. So I'm getting calls from people in Australia, in Kiev, Ukraine. I've done some stuff for Toronto, Canada, for a guy in Singapore, a money manager in Australia, Austria. I was doing some stuff for a credit card company in New York, real estate firm in Newport Beach, California. So it opens up these massive opportunities, the entire world of opportunities, where you can find these chances to do whatever you're good at, be it graphic design, be it writing, photography, accounting, whatever it is. You find these people and these jobs and these companies all over the world that you never had access to before, and it really opens up a chance for you to live the life that you want to live, which I get to do here, living in Prague, is a city I love. But aside from doing things for, say, Upwork and for Fiverr, I'm also trying to build out what I call a retirement bench. I mean, I don't know how many people have heard the term sort of the retirement stool, the three-legged stool of retirement, which is Social Security, your pension, and your personal savings. I mean, we all know that pensions are sort of passé. They've sort of died off years ago, and we have savings kind of weak for a lot of Americans, and Social Security, which theoretically is not going away, and I don't think it's going to go away, but they're certainly looking at cutting it these days. So it's up to us to create or recreate a retirement stool, that sort of three-legged stool of retirement. I say it should be a bench. I think it should be sort of structurally sound across, sort of a 4 legs or more, so that if one leg goes away, everything is still stable. And to do so, it's not just something like an Upwork freelance job. It is what I'm also doing, which is I've taken all my photographs through the years, and I've traveled all over the world, and I used to be a photographer years and years ago back in university, and I'm taking all these photos and I'm processing them, and I'm sticking them on these little micro stock sites where people go and they want to buy photos for pamphlets and books and textbooks and all kinds of things, and they don't sell for a ton of money. But when you have global access to buyers at these micro stock sites, you can make some decent money off of that. So that's another sort of leg on my bench that I'm building. Just recently, in one of my columns, I was writing about the fact that just this week I posted my first ebook online on Kindle. It's the first time I've ever done this. Very simple process, aside from the writing of the book, of course. But once the book is done, getting yourself online and self-published as an ebook is actually quite simple. It took maybe 7 minutes at most, maybe a little longer than that, because I had to write out a description. So let's call it 15 minutes. But it's very simple, and now my book is on Kindle, and you can go find it if you look for Jeff Opdyke and Replay, which is about the rise of the middle class outside the West and the profits that are going to accrue to investors in that. And I spent a couple of years going all over the world to write that book, and now it's on Kindle. It's very cool to have that as sort of a potential stream of income. So that's another plank in my little bench, or another leg on my bench. And at the same time that's going on, amid all of this sort of time I have in Corona world, because I can't really sort of venture out and prod very easily without wearing a mask and social distancing, all that. It's just so much easier to stay home, since I can't go grocery shopping and to restaurants. I use all this free time. I'm now building a blog, and I'm doing it because not just I want to share my ideas, I want to as well monetize it, because there's so many opportunities these days with blogs to monetize through affiliate marketing, monetize through advertising, monetize through the products you're going to sort of show. Like, I'm showing some of the products I use as sort of a traveling digital nomad. And there's just so many chances to take those kinds of products and to take the kinds of writing I do and create another stream of income. Some of these blogs make a large amount of money. I'm not particularly saying mine will. I have no clue. It's my first time doing this, and I'm still in the process of building it. But some of these blogs make some substantial dollars, and you put the work in up front, sure, and you've got to continue to maintain it, and you've got to write blog posts and things like that. But it's still generally passive income for the most part, and it's going to be working for you 24/7, because people are going to be reading this, all over the world at all times of day and night. And so it's just another way of generating income that is actually kind of easy to do, relatively speaking. I mean, I'm not going out and having to do manual labor. I'm not having to go report to a boss from 9 to 5 every day. I mean, I become my own boss, and I can set my own schedule, and I can write when I want to write. And if I decide that I want to, take the train to Berlin and spend a week in Berlin, I can go spend a week in Berlin and do my writing from there if I want to, and I'm still getting paid. So again, it's just another stool, or another leg on this little stool that I'm building, this bench that I'm building, so that it has multiple streams of income, and I'm not reliant on Social Security. I'm not reliant on pensions that don't exist, which I don't have. I'm going to be reliant on whatever Social Security does exist at some point, as well as my retirement savings that I've tried to squirrel away, and more importantly, my continued ability to pursue the things in life I love to pursue: photography, writing, painting, etc., and using that as streams of online income. So I'm taking that pension out of the three-legged stool, and I'm replacing it with my own capacity to earn money doing the stuff I love to do for as long as I can possibly do it. I'm 54 years old, and I hope to continue to do this into my 80s and 90s if I'm healthy enough. And I don't mean to do it into my 80s and 90s because I'm going to have to. I mean to do it into my 80s and 90s because I love it. I love what I do. I love this kind of lifestyle and this kind of work. That's what I talk about all the time in Savvy Retiree, and I think we've got a link up here that you can sort of click on and go see what Savvy Retiree is all about. What else can I tell you? I want to tell you about some of the other opportunities. It's not just the things that I'm currently doing that I write about, or that we write about. There are so many other opportunities in this world that I haven't even started pursuing yet that I want to pursue. I think last night one of my colleagues, Ian Bond, was on, and he was talking about the dropshipping universe. That is an amazing universe. If you do it at the low end, good luck, because there's so many people who are competing at the low end with small products from Alibaba.com and things like that. But at the mid-range and higher, and particularly at the upper end, the kinds of affiliate marketing and advertising you can create from drop shipping, I mean, there's some serious income involved there. And again, you're creating a passive stream of income from having put in that sort of initial effort, that initial process to build something, and truly building a blog is some effort, as I'm finding out. I'm sure there's easier ways to do it, but I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and there's things I want to know about the interior workings of how blogs, so I'm making it harder than it needs to be. I'm absolutely certain of that. So it can be much easier. But once you put in that effort, and suddenly, you have this potential 24/7, 365 days a year income stream. And that's, to me, absolutely one of the most brilliant things that has come out of this sort of internet technology revolution. At the same time, we have my colleague down in Mexico, Winton Churchill, who is an absolute boundless source of information on teaching English online and other sort of freelance opportunities that exist through Fiverr and Upwork and freelancer.com and guru.com and things like that. You'd be surprised at the demand for English. Here in Prague, there's a lot of English that's spoken here, but there's still a huge demand for it. And I've talked to native English speakers who are over in Prague as English teachers, and they teach online all over the world. And they're making substantial money, 50, 60, 70 bucks an hour with specialty English. So I met a girl who was teaching air traffic controllers how to speak English, because there's obviously a huge demand for air traffic controllers in the world, and they all need to speak English because that's sort of the lingua franca of the airline industry. And so she's got this little business as a specialty English teacher for air traffic controllers. And there was a guy I met as well who is teaching specialty business English for CEOs and marketing professionals in Prague, because they want to know English better so that when they're dealing with their business counterparts in the European Union, they have a common tongue to use, since so many different languages around here. And so he's teaching business English, because there is a certain vernacular that goes on in the business world, and that if you're not familiar with it, you're going to get lost in conversations. So there's an opportunity for these kinds of strategies in something as simple as taking your own personal knowledge of how to string English words together and turning it into a real source of income. You may not get $50, $60 an hour like some of these guys are doing specialty stuff and who have a couple of years of building up a brand for themselves, but there's still an opportunity to make, $15, $20, $25, $30 an hour teaching English online. And there's a huge demand for that all over the world. People are getting online because they want to learn English. So, my colleague Winton is just an absolute expert at that stuff. So for me, I look at what I do for the Savvy Retiree as an ability to bring to my readers all of these opportunities, and not just to tell you about them in journalistic fashion, but to tell you, hey, I tried this. I know how it works. Here's the tricks. Here's what you need to avoid. Here's where the scams are. Here's what makes sense. Here's what doesn't make sense. Here's how you make it work. And you're going to start seeing more of that starting in our May issue, I think it is. We're changing the format a little bit, and you're going to see a big cover story from me on ebooks. I just mentioned I wrote my one that just published on Kindle this week, but it's not based largely on me. It's based largely on my friend who I used to work with a couple of years ago, and she left her job on the East Coast, moved to Colorado, and became an ebook writer. And she writes sort of contemporary romance, and her books are all over Kindle. She's got 50 now, 53, something like that. And she's making 6 figures a year writing ebooks, writing romance every day. She writes 4,000 words a day, and it takes her 2.5 hours to do that. I mean, that's a great lifestyle, 6-figure lifestyle, writing romance. So that's what Savvy Retiree is all about. That's what I try to bring my readers. That's what I want to bring my readers, so that they can sort of live the motto of Savvy Retiree, which is earn more, save more, and live a richer life. And so, do you have any questions out there that anybody wants me to answer? Let's see. I would like to know more about opportunities online in Mexico besides teaching English. Honestly, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to pass that along to Winton, because Winton lives in Mexico, and he's going to know so much more about this stuff. I mean, Winton is really, really sort of plugged into this. I can tell you that in Mexico, no matter where you are, there's going to be opportunities on these freelance websites. And I don't know what your skill set is, but you should look at Fiverr, Guru, Freelancer, and Upwork in particular, because the scope of job categories there is quite large. It's not just for the creative types like designers and writers and photographers. Again, it's like administrative assistants, online services, CPAs. There's people are doing structural engineering freelance. I mean, there's whatever your skill set is, there's a very good chance there is a freelance website out there that needs that skill set, and you can do that from anywhere. Anywhere in Mexico, anywhere in the world you want to do. Jobs that are specific to being in Mexico, that's a question I would pass along to Winton, honestly. Let's see, is there anything else? I think those are the questions. If anybody else has any other comments, let me know now, or I will say, nice chatting with you. All right, well, I appreciate your time and thanks a lot.